This video is brought to you by moviepalette.com. Hey everyone, do you have a favorite movie that you would love to hang on your wall but you can't think of what scene or what poster to get? Well, now you can get the entire movie on one high quality canvas. With moviepalette.com, you can get every scene from your favorite movie, or more specifically, the dominant color of every scene from your favorite movie in chronological order on a great high quality canvas. It also comes with a silver engraving of the title down at the bottom. Has rubber stoppers on the back to keep it from bouncing. And they have a huge catalog of what to choose from. Whether you're a horror fan, or a fan of sci-fi, Marvel, Japanese anime, Disney animation, drama, or Oscar classics, there's a movie palette for you. And right now, moviepalette.com is having a sale for 50% off for their Halloween sale. But if you go right now, and if you enter room 15, you'll get 15% off of the movie palette of your choice. That's ROOM15 for 15% off of your movie palette. Again, this is a great value for a great piece of home decor that looks great for any film and for any film buff and anywhere in your home. You will definitely like this product. Mine is of The Shining, and I could not be happier with it. So definitely go to moviepalette.com and enter ROOM15 for 15% off of your palette. Wow. I was not expecting this to be that bad. I'm already not a fan of this series, but this surprised me with how bad it was. Now, recently, as I've been going through these horror anthology films for the month of October, I reviewed a 2001 anthology called Campfire Stories, which I said is a contender or a tie for worst anthology I've ever seen, comparing it to another one called Scary or Die, which I don't own. Didn't even mention Creepshow 3 because I forgot about it, but when I stop and think about it, at least, not Creepshow 3, but Campfire Stories and Scary or Die, as bad as they are, there's still some decent things I can say about it, especially the wraparound for both of those, which I can't say about this. I would have to say both of those are better than this film. Now, if I were to take Creepshow 3 out of Creepshow and just make it a standalone film and just look at it as itself, this would be down there with Creepshow 3. That's still the worst anthology. One, because it's a piece of shit, but also because it's tied to Creepshow, which is my favorite. But this does feel like the Creepshow 3 of this series. So recently I reviewed VHS and VHS 2. I know a lot of people really like VHS. I never understood it. I didn't like it back in 2012 when I first saw it, and I didn't like it recently when I saw it again. Didn't really like it at all. The second film, I could say was okay. I can't really say I'm a fan of it, but I did like a couple of the stories. I think there was 2 that I actually liked, and then 1 where I was like, I like where it's going, but it could have been done better. This is the third film, VHS Viral, which I'm not even sure what year this came out. 2014, so you got 12, 13, 14. Which, again, produced by Bloody Disgusting, Hacks and Films, and The Collective. Even smaller budget than the first 2. The first 2 was, I think, around like $200,000 and $300,000 something. This was $82,000, and it shows. Normally, I find that to be a good thing if they can show that less is more. Here, they were scraping the bottom with this small budget. I did not like any of the stories.
there were some ideas that I liked in at least two of them. There's only three stories, so we went from 5 to 4 to 3. The wraparound in this one is the worst, even to the point of being nonsensical, which I'll get to. Uh, Totally different group of uh, uh, directors, which so the wraparound is called Vicious Circles, which is directed by Marcel Sarmiento, written by him, David White, and T.J. Simpel. Dante the Great, directed by Greg Bishop, who he was the one that directed Siren, which was the feature length spin off of the first story of the first film. Also directed Dance of the Dead. Marcel Sarmiento didn't really do much. Totem for Blumhouse, segment of ABCs of Death. Uh, Nacho Vigalondo did Parallel Monsters, the second story, which he directed Puka, which when I went through Hulu's Into the Dark series, that was one I put off because I'm going to save it for Christmas. Also, Open Windows, Colossal, and Time Crimes. I haven't seen any of those. And then Bone Storm, directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Scott Moorhead, which they directed a film called Resolution, Synchronic, After Midnight, She Dies Tomorrow, did an episode of Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone. So no one I'm really that familiar with, but the wraparound is absolutely terrible. Again, like the first film was a fuck up because the wraparound ends before the stories do, and that just defies all logic. This one, the title doesn't even make sense. VHS Viral. Because I was thinking this was going to be more along the lines of, that sort of Skype story in the first film, something along those lines, or maybe make it look like YouTube or something. No, it's pretty much the same format as the first two. Viral doesn't even really become a thing until the final scene of the film, which I'm going to spoil now, which I don't think anyone cares. And this is going to be the last VHS film that I review, because Hulu does not have 99 or 94. I don't own them. I don't really feel like buying them at this point. So this, I'm going to guess they have as much to do with the 90s as this does with being viral. There's probably more unfriended-esque Skype calls in those. You don't need to correct me, but... So it shows this couple, pictures of them kissing and, being a happy couple. He's obsessed with filming and trying to make something go viral. So I guess the wraparound deals with viral. There's this cop chase outside where a cop car's chasing an ice cream truck. He's obsessed with chasing it and trying to film it so that he can upload it. And I missed it, but somehow I actually have to see what happens. Because I was struggling to pay attention to this movie. It is the shortest. It's an hour, 20 minutes. So it's the shortest of the three. There was going to be a fourth story, which involved some secret organization tracking a serial killer. That sounds awesome. Even if it's crap, it sounds like a good idea. Better than any of these ideas. It doesn't even tell me who did the music or anything like that, so alright. But his girlfriend starts watching something, and like the first two films, she's in a daze, wanders outside, and then Wait, then we see something. He gets a call, and then when he looks up, she's gone. And then it's like glitchy and staticky and seeing her face. And then it counts down from like 9. And all these like glitches and flashes of different people. One of which is the girl monster from the first story, the first film. Okay. And just keep seeing like his girlfriend's face with static. And the countdown leads us into our stories. And so the wraparound is him trying to chase after this ice cream truck. I guess thinking his girlfriend is in it. At one point, he even has some of his friends on bikes. And it again, makes it nonsensical because somehow one of his friends gets snagged and dragged behind it. So we get his POV. I don't remember if it's like a helmet cam or his phone, but we see his feet dragging. His shoes fly off, his socks, and then his feet turn into CGI blood, CGI stubs, which the CGI was laughable in this. Over the years, I've become more lax on CGI, saying, okay, if it's something you absolutely can't do, or if it's something otherworldly, like an alien or a creature, I can kind of forgive it. This, they would have used CGI to do this trick. Like, there's literally a scene in the third story where there's these skeleton zombies, and the character knocks the skull off, so the skull's on the ground, but the jaw is still. And just from the jaw down, just the bottom jaw is CGI. They couldn't even find a way to rig the jaw to work on this skull laying on the ground. So everything is CGI. Even when he first runs outside to film the car chase, there's a cop standing in the road and he's trying to say, get back, go back inside. He's plowed down by a car. His CGI arm flies towards him, lands on the ground, and we kind of see the hand twitch. CGI blood pooling. Which CGI blood, to me, is the worst. You can't get a squib or a blood pack or ketchup to make something work. So the CGI is the biggest issue, along with just poor writing and execution of each story. And then the wraparound just goes off on these tangents. Like, we see this barbecue where somehow, like, the barbecue skewer lands in this guy's dog's head, but it's CGI, and the dog is still, like, blinking, kind of looking around. And then the guy just goes nuts and kills everyone with forks or something. Of course, it's all shaky cam and staticky, because every time something's happening, it gets all glitchy and staticky. Which I have never seen a tablet or phone or anything go staticky like an old TV. It does in this. So it does that, or like one of the final things was it shows inside this taxi where there's this older guy, younger woman, legal age but younger. He's filming her, trying to get her to strip. She pulls a gun on him, steals his camera, makes him strip. I guess he has like a porn site or like a revenge porn site that she ended up on. So she's taunting him and, see, how do you like it? Before we see a head-on collision with them. And then it ends with the boyfriend finding the ice cream truck. He hears Ode to Joy playing. And he goes inside. There's all the TVs, all these cameras and webcams, moving on their own. His girlfriend appears on the TVs with some sort of a dissonant voice telling him to upload the video. Everything that's happened tonight has been filmed. You need to upload it. He says he can't because things are going crazy out there. It does show people watching, like, what's going on and getting the nosebleed like in the previous films. So it's like this viral epidemic, viral viral media acting like a virus, which if that's any kind of social media, it failed. And she tries to say, like, oh, don't you want to be part of something bigger than yourself? And I don't know if it's her or some force is like bashing her head against the side. So he agrees to upload it. And again, I don't know how this would upload. It looks like a wooden box with an old toggle switch with tape and Sharpie that says upload. I don't know how this old toggle switch is going to upload footage to the internet, but it does. So he does, and then he goes outside, sees his girlfriend is dead with a phone in her mouth. He looks at what's been uploaded, then he gets the nosebleed. He's in a trance. Wide shot of the city, CGI helicopter going down. Ode to Joy plays again. So the wraparound is just a bunch of ideas that are barely strung together or explained or coherent at all. So we get to the first story, which the style of story and the theme kind of reminds me of like a Tales from the Crypt type episode about this guy who really wants to be a magician. It's told like a documentary, like we get people being interviewed, like psychologists, magic experts, law enforcement. And I will say each movie does have like a different format of story, whether it be, okay, this is the webcam, like the Skype one, or it's a handheld, or it's a documentary, or, it's like a GoPro. So it kind of changes from story to story, even film to film. So this was like a documentary. This magician gets arrested for murder. Kind of a rags to riches story. But he has this magical cloak that can let him do anything. And that's how he rises to fame. And the CGI in this is pretty fucking awful too. Like, it shows him practicing where he wants to pull a rabbit out of his cloak. The rabbit is on a countertop in the background. So it's like he reaches in, pulls it out, and you even see the hand come out of nowhere in the background to pull it, like, go invisible, then come out here. You can literally see, like, fuzz or blur around it, like where they had to animate that effect. But you find out the cloak is evil, it has to eat. It stops working for him, so he has to find women, throw the cloak on them. It makes like a roaring noise. It looks like they're fighting themselves in a black blanket, and then they disappear. Hires an assistant. They fall in love. She has an abusive boyfriend. He's able to pull the boyfriend out of the cloak and just kind of do all these things, and his body gets contorted and kills him. And then he's arrested for murder, but of course he can, make himself vanish, shoot out with SWAT. And then finally just a showdown between him and the assistant over who gets the cloak. And somehow the cloak eats him. Yeah, she has one in her closet. These CGI shadow arms grab her. It did kind of remind me of like a morality tale of like Tales from the Crypt. There actually was not magic, but my favorite episode, which is, I think it's called Check Out This Cat, It's Pretty Dead, or something like that. The third episode, where Joe Pantoliano, I think is how you pronounce it. He's not a magician, but he's a performer. He has not 9 cat lives, so he can die on stage and come back. And of course, it doesn't work out for him. Okay, so the fact it's like a documentary, the sort of Tales from the Crypt, okay, a magician with an evil cloak, decent idea, just not executed well, the CGI sucks. The second story, like the wraparound, has a lot of ideas. It's like they just threw everything in. And I've preached in the past about ambiguity. Not everything needs to be completely spelled out and spoon-fed to you. But then there's just weirdness and no way of explaining so you know what's going on. And maybe it makes sense because you have this guy who's building this like threshold, this like mechanical threshold that works as a doorway into a parallel universe. He opens it, sees his doppelganger. They decide to switch for 15 minutes, and it goes back and forth between their footage, kind of checking everything out. Okay, and as I've said before, my rule with anthologies is, does this feel like a story or a beginning, middle, and an end? Does it just feel like ideas, or does it feel like a story? This, I don't really know. I think they're all. I would say this one probably does. Okay, these do feel like short stories. They're just executed probably some of the worst out of all three films. But then with found footage, do I believe why this is filmed or that this is filmed? This, okay, this one did do a better job because it really is like one camera angle for each guy. Whereas in the first story, there's camera angles everywhere. It even says like backstage documentary crew. But the guys are never addressed or anything. It's almost like hidden cameras. But there's like cameras for every angle, and I just don't believe it's found footage. So, sort of character prime, the real one, he goes over, and his wife is scantily clad, has two younger guys there. You kind of get the idea, like, is there going to be some sort of cuck thing going on? Like, either expand their sex life or have him watch. That's the route you think it's going, or I thought it was. But on the TV, there's like a witch burning. There's a thing with a plastic bag with a bloody something in it. Neither's explained. Sex sounds going on upstairs. I thought it was coming from the TV. And they're wondering why he's acting so weird. The guys leave because they think he's sketched out or unhappy, so they leave. She gets mad at him. There's like this weird noise. And she says something. He asks what the noise was, and she's just saying, like, well, we're on summertime now. You've been down in the basement for so long. My self-esteem. It just sounds like random lines. And you know what needs to happen now. Like, you already know what's going on. And I guess everything seems so random and out of context because he just walked into this world and they think he's the real one. So it's all out of context to him, therefore it is to us. But I think that's looking way too deep into it for this film. He goes outside for something. The two guys be like, hey, you want us to come back inside? They realize he's still filming. They chase him. And before I say where this leads, it shows the doppelganger walking around Prime's house, sees the wife sleeping in bed. He starts taking pictures of her, starts touching himself, and then we cut back, and the two guys are attacking character Prime. And their eyes are glowing, there's light coming out of their mouth, they got like this demonic voice, there's a blimp with the upside down cross on it, so I guess it's like a satanic world. The guy's on the ground up against a tree. They undo their pants, and then from behind, we see what's coming towards him, which, okay, this is a practical effect. Looks like something like a deranged Jim Henson puppet. But this huge phallus that does look like a penis, but the head is like a mouth with sharp teeth, and there's all these long gray hairs down the shaft, almost like a beard. It's like demonic. He like stabs it. He's able to get away from him. Goes back to the house trying to find the portal again. Punches the wife out of the way. Which, while this is going on, we see the doppelganger. His phallic monster comes out. Wife wakes up, screams. It basically ends with them sort of meeting back up, but the doppelganger's covered in blood. He's like, what did you do to my wife? And then they both just go back to their world, but the wives don't know that they switched. They think it's them. So doppelganger wife is mad that he punched her. So she disrobes and she has like, imagine like the big sculptor from Beetlejuice. That's from her crotch halfway up her stomach. It opens up, grabs his head, roars, eats him. But his wife is still alive, comes up behind him and stabs him. Okay. I think this is one a lot of people like the most out of the three stories. To me, it feels like it's just weird for the sake of being weird, but I like the idea of switching your doppelganger and just shit getting messed up so that when you switch back, other people think it was you the whole time. But then we get to the third story. This was probably the most well done one, which is these these two like teen skateboarders. They hire these two guys. One is a filmographer who would rather they wreck, fall down, get hurt, even mentions like Faces of Death and Jackass. It sells more. So he's even given them directions so they could potentially get hurt. He mentions Tijuana, so they go down there and they buy firecrackers, weed, and they run into this cult where even when they first get there, there's like Day of the Dead stuff everywhere. And I could have swore at first the cult was like these guys with these almost looks like canvas rags for like robes. But they still looked human underneath. They start attacking him. They even rip the filmographer's arm off. Eat the other guy. So then the two skateboarders run off. They fight him off a bit, but then when they get away and the cult comes back after them, now they're like skeletons, like rotted skeletons. They look decent. They actually look pretty cool. Practical. They're not science class skeletons. They don't look Halloween decoration. I mean, they're like discolored. They got like still red and rot all over them. Looks cool. And they're taking the skateboards, knocking the skulls off. They're shoving firecrackers down their robes to blow them up. Which had the explosions. Those effects are very cheap. CGI. Again, they hit the skull off, which I don't think they make noises, but the skulls are just like. So even when it falls on the ground, it's still doing that. And you can even see like the CGI box around it where it's animated. I'm like, Jesus Christ, they can't even make that work. It's probably supposed to be funny. I don't know if they were thinking of like Army of Darkness or whatever. But this also has setup and payoff. Because the two guys are talking. So, if it ever came down to life or death, I bet you'd leave me. The guy's like, no, I wouldn't. So at one point, two of these things are attacking that friend, biting him, eating him. And he's just kind of staring off into the distance where there's no threat. He can make it away. And he just runs up, throws firecrackers in the robes, pulls his friend up, saves him. And when they turn around, the one with the firecracker in it is just like... And then explodes. I was like, oh, that... And again, by this point, I was struggling so bad to pay attention that normally I don't do this. Normally I don't fuck off on my phone when I'm trying to watch something. But I was just so bored and so tuned out. I was shopping around for serial killer books. Because I'm building my collection bigger than it already is. I'm planning on doing a collection video of my true crime serial killer collection. I was making a wish list and shopping for more books. But eventually they get away, and then we have the wraparound, which I think starts with the taxi, the girl, the guy, leads up to the ending. Yeah, I mean, granted, it's the shortest, so that helps. I like the sort of Tales of the Crypt idea, magician with the evil cloak. I like the idea of just skateboarder kids trying to make a documentary. This random skeleton zombie cult comes after him, and they have to fight him off. Okay? The second story, and not to say I don't like weird shit, but if it's weird just for the sake of being weird, especially in such a short amount of time where it can't pull you in, and it's not for artistic reasons, I just couldn't get invested at all. And again, shittiest wraparound. I'm not sure. Well, I didn't even want to talk about this movie for this fucking long, but I did. Yeah, not much to say. I don't know if I'd say I hate it. I just found it pretty grueling to sit through. It was an 80-minute chore. I'd much rather watch the first film again, and I wasn't even a fan of that. I don't know how this could come out and then think, you know what, we should make 2 more of these. Well, 3 more, because VHS 85 just got announced. But, so yeah, I would actually put Campfire Stories over this, because that felt more competent for sure, better wraparound. Even if the stories were still bad, I think they were better executed than this. The CGI was pretty awful, and just the overall tone of it. Though I will say, there are a lot of camera angles in the skateboarder video, but that's because they got the documentary guy, they got helmet cams, deck cams, and then I think like a body cam. So that all made sense. That's constantly going to run. But yeah, this has to be one of the worst anthologies, and I'll even say found footage. At least with the Paranormal Activity movies, just talking found footage, at least with that, you can kind of laugh at how dumb, boring, and overrated they are. This felt like a Creepshow 3 level anthology movie, and actually I think it's safe to say that I hate it. I would have rather it had been more like Scary or Die, where it is a bunch of like YouTube videos. That's the wraparound, and clicking on all these YouTube videos that have gone viral. But no, it's just because this kid's obsessed with making something viral, and then he gets to, but it's all the carnage from the wraparound, and then he doesn't want to. So yeah, really shitty film, shitty anthology, shitty found footage film. I'm glad I'm done with them. Maybe someday I'll check out 94 and 99, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get them just yet. So yeah, stay tuned for more Stephen King and anthologies. We got a couple more weeks, just under 2 weeks left of October, so I will be doing more. So anyway, thank you for watching.